Finale, I want to highlight three functions that I find very helpful. These are a step above just using the simple entry tool, and they are entering tuplets. These are unconventional tuplets like 7s against 4 or 5 against 4. Sometimes we need that. So I'm going to show you how to do it because it's not so straightforward if you're just using the simple tuplet tool. Again, tuplet tool up here in the main menu is where we're going to look at. The second item we're going to look at is over here in the staff tool. We have the ability to alter the way the staff looks. Sometimes we don't need all 5 lines. Sometimes we don't even need bar lines. There's ways to manipulate that, and I use that quite frequently. I will show you that. And then the third and final is the page layout tool down here. This is something I go to typically at the end of a project where things are either too spread out or too condensed because of various things. You've put in all these chords and you have lyrics, and maybe it just seems too tight. So we will use the page layout tool, and I will show you what I typically do as I end up needing to spread things out because there's just so much information on the page. All right, so tuplets. Here you can actually see an example of 7/16 over the course of one beat. Again, normally we're all pretty used to triplets, like standard triplets, whether it's triplet 16ths or triplet 8ths. I click that tuplet tool, highlight whatever note I need. It will default it into the triplet note that you're thinking of. So what do we do when we need something unconventional? 7s. I will show you. This is exactly how I do it. I'm going to erase that guy. Actually, I might have needed him. Let me put him back in. Let's say I want 7/16 over the course of a beat. I'm going to go over here to Speedy Entry tool, okay, and I'm going to highlight the point where I'm going to start. And what you do, I'm on a Mac system. You think about whatever number you need. In this case, I want 7/16 or the equivalent of 7/16 notes. So I'm going to press Alt 7, and you see that little number up there. That's telling the system, or the system recognizing you, that you want 7 of whatever I'm about to put in. Okay, so I'm going to go up my keyboard here and use Speedy Entry just to enter 7 consecutive 16th notes. And it will automatically 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the next one, let's say a quarter note. Boom. Okay, and when I exit that, you can see it spread out a little bit, and there it is, 7/16. But what if we want like one of those values to be an 8th note? We're still under the umbrella of 7/16, but you really only need 5/16 plus the 8th note. So let's go back, and it's really the same thing. It's pretty straightforward. I'm going to hit Alt 7. I think on a Windows machine it's Option 7. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go up those same set of notes. Let's do 2/16. And let's say I want that E, the next note up, to be an 8th note. I just do an 8th note. And then the rest will be 16ths. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I have my quarter note, and it should automatically, yeah, there you go. So that's still 7/16, but one of them, obviously, you see it as the 8th note. Let's say we want to do 4 quarter notes against the 3/4 measure. We're in 3/4, so we have to think, okay, 3. But sometimes I play music on piano, specifically thinking of Bill Evans, where he'll do 4 quarter notes over the course of the 3/4. So it's the same process. I'm going to go to Speedy Entry. I'm going to hit Alt 4. And then I'm going to do quarter notes. Let's say C, D, E, F. Boom, and it filled the measure. I bet that will work for chords too. Let's try a few chords. Oh, I'm Alt 4. There we go. So let's do chords. Yep. Beautiful. The next topic, the next idea I want to show you is this staff tool and what it can do, because I do a lot of transcribing and 90% of it I'm not needing notes. I just need chords for the sake of counting, occasional notes for cues, but yeah, by and large I just want to put in chords and some basic counting. So what we're going to do, we're going to highlight these stabs. You click the staff tool and you highlight all of these stabs. I click the first one, hold shift, click the last one, and it will highlight everything in between. And what you do is you just right click and it pulls down this drop down menu. And these are all different types of formats Finale has built in. They're like templates for different staff styles. And I spend most of my time going back and forth between normal notation, slash notation, there's slash, one slash for every beat. Sometimes I do rhythmic notation where I don't need to worry about pitch, I just want to cue some hits or something, and that's fine. I actually want to show you something, what I would do if I just need chords. Now this is really, really interesting. So if I go down to one line staff and I want a full bar line, you'll see that it has one horizontal line and a full length bar line here. You can see it, the marker for every single measure is a full length bar line. I can change that. Let's go back. I can change that to one staff line with a short bar line, and you can see that it's a little bit smaller there. So I want to do two things before I put the chords inside there. I don't even need one staff line, and I don't need these default rests that Finale will put in if you don't have any information. I don't want that. I don't want anything. I just want the bar lines. So what I'm going to do, I am currently in format number 11, one line staff, short bar line. So what you can do is you can actually customize each of these. You can go in, you can also create your own, by the way. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to define staff styles. Here we go. And I'm going to pull down, I'm going to make sure it's on 11. So I'm editing the template for one line staff, short bar line. And I'm going to go down here and I'm going to do two things. Display rests in empty measures. I'm going to uncheck that to take out the rest. If you don't want measure numbers, you can uncheck that. There's another way to do that. Oh yeah, here we go. So staff lines. I don't want any staff lines, so I'm just going to uncheck that. I have to click it twice. So we don't have any staff lines. We don't need measure numbers. I don't like measure numbers. And then we have unchecked display rests and empty measures. So what we should see, when I click OK, we should see the clef sign at the beginning of the line, and then after that, just the bar lines, and boom. Love it. So sometimes I just want the chords, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my chords tool here, chord tool, and you can do this for individual lines depending on what arrow you adjust here. Like this second arrow from the right, just adjust that system. You can also do every single system, default it all to the same movement. And you can also just adjust them independently. Watch this. So, oh, no. Main tool, here we go. So I click the main, I'm clicking the chord again, and what I can do is highlight those and they will move together. And I just put them inside the staff. Spacing is a little bit weird. You see how at the end here, how this E minor 7 flat 5, it kind of hugs the bar line, but over here we have a lot of space. You can adjust them independently to do that. I also want to point out one more thing I do is I don't like all this dead space here. So I will sometimes put like a visual cue for beats. Keep in mind we're in 3/4, so visually my brain sees this G minor 7 as occupying beat 1, and let's say I want to put slashes that represent counts 2 and 3, so we know that that occupies the whole measure. I will highlight, I will go up to here, I will go up to the staff tool, and I will highlight that portion of the measure. You can highlight entire measures, or you can just click and drag and highlight portions of measures. So I'm going to highlight just everything after the chord symbol. I'm going to right click it and say I want just that portion of the measure to be a different kind of staff style. I'm going to select slash notation, and it puts a slash where all those beats are. You may find that helpful. I have sometimes used it, and I go back and forth on it. But yeah, that's there. It may get kind of weird with that across an entire page, so it's up to you. Let's go back. I'm going to undo that. Option Z. Okay, so that's the staff tool. I like 90% of the time use regular staff or slash. Last thing, let's say I have a bunch of cues up here, like I have my notes and chords, and maybe I have some markers for a verse. I actually like to space this. I'm going to show you a couple things I do with the page layout tool that I think is really, really helpful. The verse, we'll get to that in a second. So this looks really, really spaced out. So let's just put in some dummy lyrics here. The quick brown fox jumped. You can imagine if you have that, like every line, this starts to get really, really crowded. Or maybe like for various reasons it's very spaced and you want to close. What I do here is I go to page layout tool, and you can adjust individual spacing between the stabs. And I don't touch this top left one yet. We might get to that in a second, but for now, I will adjust the spacing between stabs by these selections over on the right. So this represents the space between the staff above it and the staff below it. And so I'm going to pull that up, and you can see how the second system moves with that. Okay, and then if I want to close the gap below the second system, I will use the next square down. Okay, and what I've done here is I've set the spacing around the second system the way that I like it. So I'm going to say I want to apply that to every system. Oh, let me hit rewind. Another thing I do is I will move the beginning of these over a little bit. Let me explain what I just did. I highlighted all of these markers along the left side because I want to change the distance, or let me put it this way, I want to increase the margin before the beginning of these. I could do them individually, but I like to just do them all uniform. So I move it over to the right, about to the end of the clef, and I have a little bit more space here, and what I'll do is I will take these markers, like the verse and chorus markers, and I will move them over. Point. If I have many of them, I will do that uniformly. And I just think this looks cleaner. I think it's a really clean look. So I have all of this margin spacing the way that I like it on System 2. Now what you can do, this is really cool, to apply it to the whole thing, I can highlight the second system by clicking this marker here. And I'm going to go up to the page layout menu up here and go to Systems, Edit Margins. And what it does is it pulls up this pop-up window, and right here it tells me the values for the spacing around that second system. And what I can do is I can apply those values to the rest of the document. I can say change systems 2 through 8, and this document goes up to system 8. You may go up to system 30 whatever, or hundreds whatever. However far you want to apply these values, you tell it. So I'm going to put 8 because I want to go to, apply this to the entire document beyond system 2. I'm going to hit apply, and then when I hit this, you're going to see 3 through 8 all move together to match the spacing of what we see in system 2. Boom. Not a huge deal, right? But if you've got like a 2 or 3 page document, those extra few inches, or those 2 units, those extra units will start to add up, and you could even save a page. So that's it. So we covered tuplets, the staff tool, and page layout tool. I almost said page margin tool. I find those super helpful. It's a step above just entering notes, and I think you'll find after you do a lot of score editing in Finale, you'll end up using them a lot too. Hope that helps. Bye.